What's up, guys? Matt Nuzzo here in the Real Board Loft, hanging out with Daniel TOMO.
What's up, guys?
Tell me, dude, what's up with this board?
Well, the Vanguard's been a model I've been working on for a few years, and we've refined it to a place where I feel happy that it's going to kind of push the surfing spectrum into the next level. Obviously, the shorter, narrower, plane shape, more rectangular, like you'd find in a kite board. And getting that benefits of low drag and speed and
nice.
More radical performance.
So, I mean, I've surfed mostly traditional boards. Like, I mean, truthfully, when I look at this thing, it looks really radical. Like, how are, like, what am I going to notice on this board compared to, some of the other, traditional short boards on the market?
First off, the thing you'll notice is speed. It's a significant increase in speed all around, the drive you get off the rail and the glide it has over dead sections and so forth.
Got it.
So that'll be the biggest difference right off the bat. Actually, control is something that you wouldn't expect this has a lot of, but with that rectangular kind of plane shape, it's very stable. It's a lot of rail in the water, although there's no nose and the tail's chopped down too. You've got a long rail line for how short the board is, so the drive is quite significant.
So aren't I going to pearl a ton with like kind of a blunt nose like that, or?
Well, you'd think that, but it's got enough rocker to actually like kind of hold the nose out of the water.
Okay.
And it's so short that if you size it correctly, which is about what you're seeing with me here, about chin to nose height. The thing's so short that you just step on the back foot and just kind of pop off any ledges and turn it tight in the pocket, and it'll just fit the curve of the wave with the rocker.
Right, with it being a lot shorter too, kind of probably it's snappy. I've surfed one a couple times, but like I mean, definitely felt snappy. And the other thing I was amazed by is like the range. I mean, I surfed in draining barrels out here to like waist high. Like, how do you get so much range out of one board?
Well, I mean, initially I'm designing these boards for like point surf because I'm from Australia, the long right-hand points. So that was my kind of testing ground.
Right.
So naturally I'm looking for that board with the speed, down the line, drawn out turns. So it's more of a traditional power surfing kind of base that I came from. Nice. But naturally it's got that skate, snow, surf, kite kind of crossover vibe about it. So you can do the radical type surfing as well as the drawn out power.
It's sick to have a board that kind of has that much diversity and range, that's so different, and it's really cool, like, partnering with Firewire too on the construction, like, it seems like the construction is really solid too,
Totally. Firewire's, leading the game in surfing with the technology aspect of strength and strength to weight and flex memory. So it was a great partnership.
Flex memory? What are you talking about?
Flex memory, how quickly the board reacts to a situation. When you push on the board and it's going to spring back. So
nice.
That's a key point of Firewire to have that sharp flex memory, which basically translates to a responsive ride.
Nice. So like, basically your traditional, what you're saying is like your traditional poly board is going to flex, just kind of stay, not give you the rebound.
The materials are not as responsive for
Got
sure.
it. Cool, man. And what's your preferred fin configuration on the tail here? I mean, it looks like you got them set up 5-fin. Like, what are you as a shaper recommending for fin configuration?
Well, it's basically this whole movement we're doing is a whole base movement. So basically they work really well just about anything you put in it.
Cool.
But for the consumer aspect, the 5-fin setup is perfect for us because we've got the traditional thruster for your general high performance guys who want to just have that tight tail pivot off the top.
Right.
And then you got the quad fin for a little bit mushier conditions when you want to get extra glide. Naturally, this board's going to have a ton of glide anyway and speed, so the thruster is probably the go-to setup for this board.
Got it.
But for a lot of situations, a fat gutless wave, you can get a little bit extra with your quad.
Cool. And so would you say for fin sizing and just use this traditional, like I ride medium-sized fins?
Yeah.
That's what I'd ride on. So I'm sizing the board, chin to nose high, and then so for myself, like 5'4", 5'6" range, and then traditional medium-sized fin, thruster, and then for the slop get the quad.
So your fin kind of setups, it will translate exactly what you usually ride for your weight. If you want a more drivier fin, you use a more Reiki template, and if you want more pivot, you use a more upright template. Same kind of theory, it translates over perfectly.
Awesome, man. No, that's great. And you did mention, the kite board transition. I know a lot of kite boards have been using these boards, and I know Firewire is making a kite construction. It's just a little heavier duty, more solid for big airs and stuff like that. How are the kiteboarders reacting on your end of it? Being from Australia, obviously tons of kiters and stuff. Like, what are the kiters saying?
Well, the feedback's been really good actually, and initially this design came from a historical reference in surfing, but it naturally, you got that kite connection. Like, whoa, it's
Yeah.
looking like a kite board.
Right.
So it was cool that the kiters. I mean, we're getting some good feedback from those guys.
Great.
And, I mean, as a strapless board, it's pretty high performance. You're getting less drag, like I was saying, and you know, you got that edge and that straight rail to really to push off the rail, and you got good upwind capabilities and all that stuff. So it seems to be ticking a lot of boxes.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. It's a sick setup, and then you also brought a little treat back. Let's check out this one behind you here. What's this in here?
This one is my latest and greatest Vanguard 2.0 called the Vader. This one's a full twin tip, double-ended template with a central wide point. All the measurements forward and back are equal, so it's a symmetrical template, which has got a cool vibe in its own sense. It's got a little bit more rocker than the Vanguard, so it's more flipped in the nose, a little bit more acceleration through the tail, so you're going to have a really tight turning radius. It's going to be a little looser, it's going to be a little bit more responsive. Bottom contours and tail, we're getting more technical in the tail with a quad concave.
Sick.
It's actually a, you can kind of see it, maybe I can put it that way. It's actually kind of like a split concave where I'm running channels off the quads that kind of break up the surface area through the tail, kind of getting you onto these planing concaves here through the center of the board where your back foot weight is distributed, and off the rail you're getting these concaves giving you a super sensitive riding bite off that contour in the tail. So you're getting a ton of grip, ton of glide with all this surface area. So the combination of all that is just really, you know, I'm excited about this board.
And using some pretty crazy construction here too, it looks like, huh?
Yeah, well, I've been working with epoxies and carbon fibers pretty much exclusively throughout my career. My father was right into that stuff, so I got into it at a young age.
Nice.
So I've been, you know, I love the way carbon feels, and if you engineer it correctly, you get a ton of spring, and it's not too stiff. So I've been working with this tapered flex pattern that kind of tapers out throughout the end, so you've got a stiffer central point that, you know, progressively gets more flexier through the ends, and then the carbon tapers off on an area where it's pretty reinforced through the tail, so there's no braking problems back there, and you're getting a more progressive tail, so you're getting a ton of flipper effect, a springboard.
Nice.
And that's another whole level that we're engineering the boards to really take surfing to the next generation.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, really cool stuff. You know, it's cool to see shapers out there doing this. So you have a big team you're using to come with these designs, or what do you, how are you testing these things? Is it like, is it yourself, is it a team? How's it working?
It's just, I mean, we've got guys riding them, but the development of these boards have come basically just from my ability to go there and ride the boards, translate it back into the shaping room, and just keep that evolution going constantly. You know,
That's
never
amazing,
been satisfied with a certain level. There's always a way to tweak a board to make it go better, and naturally you learn different things as you go along, and it opens your mind in new directions. And you know, a few years down the track, we've got something like this.
Well, I mean, it looks like you got 20 years of development. It's like shaping room to the surf, back to the shaping room. I mean, it's like, it's crazy to see how, like how quickly, can come along and develop these really radical shapes that are also really performing at a huge level for a lot of people. So, I mean, the versatility of these boards is amazing. Also, the range of people that are loving them. So, that's awesome, man. Any final words for us out here, Real?
Well, just thanks for the support, guys. Come down and test out a board, and hope you're stoked. And we've got a whole range here, so come check them out.
Appreciate it. Well, thanks for checking us out. Check us out, realwatersports.com for any more info, and got a bunch of reviews, and we'll see you guys on the water.